Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing our 2025 mock draft. I've already simmed the lottery, so you'll be able to see what picks are coming up. Charlotte ended up getting the first pick. But yeah, I am going to be doing a 2026 prospect looking at thing coming up in about 2 days. So yeah, I told you guys I'm back. Make sure you check in with the videos. And let's get into this mock draft. I think first, I don't know if he's staying at school or not, but right now he's not said anything. It's going to be Cooper Flag. I don't think there's any two ways about that. Put him on Charlotte with LaMelo, Brandon Miller. You've got another star in the making there. I think that will put them over the edge for them to push for playoff contention next season if they do actually end up getting him. Which in this draft they have. I mean, we've seen him. He's been absolutely sensational this season at Duke. Hopefully, I mean, we don't know yet. We don't know if he's going to stay or go, but hopefully we see him playing in the NBA next season. But yeah, I think he's consensus number one. I don't see anyone else going number one at this point. But number two ended up with Toronto, and I have them taking Dylan Harper at the two. I think he is the next best prospect um, in this mock draft, and I think he fits right into Toronto. You know, you've got a guy now who can come in and be a star. They also need a proper one. I mean, Emmanuel quickly is great right now, but I think you put in a young star, it's going to rise some hype for Toronto. Hopefully, they can build something there with the little pieces they have. By them taking Dylan Harper, number two. Now, number three, Philly. I think Philly are going to go for the star-studded VJ Edgecombe. That's who I've got number three. I've got him above Ace, above Trey. So I've got him going number four to Philly. Three, sorry, to Philly. He slots right in. You've got Tyrese Maxey can play the one, slide in VJ at the two, Paul George at the three. Paul George at the three, then you've got a little bit of lack at the power forward, but you can always make that work. Um, in the off season, and then you've got Joel Embiid at the five. So I think VJ slides right in. As a guy who's going to come, he's going to get his own shot off. He's going to make a couple of guys around him better, and yeah, I think he slides right into Philly. And number four, we had the Nets. Now the Nets getting a star. I think they're going to go Trey Johnson. I like Trey Johnson over Ace Bailey. Unfortunately, I think he's one of the most interesting prospects going into this season. He can get a bucket off anything. He's gonna bring that flair to Brooklyn. He's gonna bring that star power straight away. Hopefully, if he pans out the way he's supposed to, and he's gonna bring a lot of hype back to Brooklyn too. I think him at 6'6", being a two, playing alongside D'Angelo Russell, Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson. You've got Nick Claxton on there. They have a great team in the making for them to rebuild, and I think Trey Johnson is going to be the guy they go if they end up at number four. Now, number five, don't think he drops any further than this. Ace Bailey, I think he slots right into this team. Again, I think the fit is wonderful. They don't really have a great starting three. I mean, Laurie's at the four. Well, he can play the three and the four, but if you put Ace at the three, Laurie at the four, I think they'll gel well. Obviously, he's another guy who can come off and get his own shot right away. He's long as well. He can brush upon his defense a little bit, perhaps. But just the raw star power you're going to get from that if he plans out the way he's supposed to, will be a great rebuilding cornerstone for the Utah Jazz. Now, number six, we have the Wizards. Now, I quite like them going with a guard. I know they have a lot of guard play at the moment, so we could see them going with the big. But I mean, they took Alex Sarr, so I think a center's off the table. They could be looking at a four, maybe even a three. It depends on what they do in the off season because they have a lot of guys who they can expend to playoff teams if they do want to take this rebuild seriously. Again, Chris Middleton could get moved. He's not exactly on the friendliest of contracts. Same thing with Jordan Poole. I mean, you've got Jan Mahimi, who's on his last year, I believe. Or is he going into free agency this season? I think he's going into free agency this season. You got Brogdon, who's going to be great for a contender. Marcus Smarts. Wow, they have a lot of great guards. I've not watched too much Wizards basketball this season, but wow, they do have a lot of great guards. But they're going to be looking for a guy who can kind of just add to what they have, and for me, that's Conkneppel. He can play the two or the three. He's a guy who's going to slot right in, kind of that Corey Kispert-ass vibe. He's going to get his shots off. He's going to play hard defense, and that's what they need if they're going to try and rebuild. I don't think the Rockets, unless they get a top five pick, I don't think they'll find their cornerstone for the rest of the franchise the way it's going currently. But if they do end up at 6 and just miss out on those top 5 guys who are star-studded players, you can get a guy who's going to be a great sort of complementary piece to whoever you decide to draft next in next year or the year after. So I've got them taking Conquerable at 6. Now 7, the Pelicans, with a lot of drama around Zion Williamson. Supposedly the new GM is to move him straight away. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we'll have to see how that all goes. CJ McCollum on not the friendliest contract as well. If they want to move him, I think that's going to be a little bit tough. DeJounte Murray has had injuries this season, I believe. Not been the most reliable, but also great guard. But I have them taking Carmen Malawak at number 7. I think he fits right into this team. He's big, long center, pause, who can rebound, he can guard, he can get his shots when he needs to under the basket. I think he's going to be great if they do decide to trade Zion and rebuild. Now 8, we landed with the Spurs. And I think the Spurs, I'm not quite sure what they're looking for here. Because you've got Victor at the 5, you've got De'Aaron Fox at the 1, still got Chris Paul. Devin Vassell's been great. At the 2, you've got David Duke Jr. still young, Malachi Branham, a guy who can go out there and shoot the lights out. Keldon Johnson at the 3, same thing with Devin Vassell, can play the 3 as well. Jeremy Sohan, Harrison Barnes at the 4. So I think they're just going to look to take the best player available, really. And for me, if I'm the Spurs, I'm looking kind of for that 4 guy who can be a starter. As great as Sohan is, I just don't think he's their guy for the rest of this draft. And I have them taking Asa Newell. I think he's going to slot right in. Again, a guy who can get a shot. Same thing under the basket. He can rebound, he can defend. I don't know how well his defense is going to translate to the NBA. But hopefully, if you're playing next to Victor Wembanyama, he's going to teach you a few things. So I have them taking Asa Newell at 8. 9, we have the Rockets from Phoenix. Now, the Rockets, they just lost to the Warriors in the first round. Well, the first game of the first round. And to me, it seems like they need guys who can pick their own shots. You need that guy who you can just kick the ball out to, and he's going to get his own shot. A little bit better on the playmaking too. Obviously, Reed Shepherd hasn't had too much playing time this season. I don't know why, because he's kind of exactly what they're missing. That guy who can go out there and get their shot. But I like Kasparis for them. They haven't got a true point guard. And this kid from Lithuania, he can shoot the ball and he can throw the ball. He's had a little bit of a slower second half to the season. But boy, this guy can get he can get a team going. He can defend. He can get his own shot off. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Lonzo. I've not watched him too much, but from what I've seen, I can see why that comparison makes sense. And I think he's a good piece for the Rockets, because they haven't really got that guy who can go out there and make everyone on the floor better, where Kasparis can come in and do that if he comes as he's supposed to. Now at 10, we have Portland. Now this is a problem with Portland, right? And problem with the draft board. Jeremiah Fears, this draft really depends on what the lottery comes out to, because I do really like him. I think he's a top 8 guy, but he doesn't fit on a lot of the teams, obviously, in this simulation that got those picks. But I think Portland is one of those teams that he can slide right into. They're going to take the guy with the highest upside potential. This guy can get a bucket from anywhere on the floor, and he can play the 1 of the 2. So you can play him next to Scoot, you can play next to Shaedon Sharp. Anthony Simons, there's rumblings he's going to get moved. Don't know how true that is. Denny Avdia's had a great season. I think Jeremiah Fears would be perfect new shiny piece for this rebuilding Blazers team, depending on who they decide to move this offseason. But I do really like his game, and I don't see him slipping under 10 at any point in this draft. Now 11, we have the Mavs. Again, it's a very lottery based selection on where all these guys are going to go. I think this one is a little bit easier. I have them taking a 3 or a 4. I think the problem with their guard play, obviously, you're really building around AD and Kyrie at the moment. Clay's probably going to be there. So you're going to need a guy who can get his own shot, who can defend hard. And for me, that's Colin Murray-Boyles. I think he slots again right into this team. You've got a little bit of a bigger, shorter 4, so he might have to play the 3 a couple of games if he fits in there. But I mean, he's a guy who can get his own shot, he can defend, and yeah, I think he fits really well with the Mavs and what they're trying to do with Kyrie and AD. At 12, we have the Bulls, who are kind of all over the place right now. I mean, Josh Giddey's had a stellar season. Same thing with Kobe White, amazing season. Um, Pat Williams a little bit here. He was having a great season at the start and he kind of fell off a little bit. Vooch, we don't even know if they're keeping him at the moment or what his plans are. We've not heard much from the Bulls since they got bounced in the play-in, so we don't really know what they're kind of looking to do. But if I'm them, I'm kind of looking for a guy who can get his own shot but also defend hard. I think that's what they're missing, those wing guys, um, who can go out there and get what they need to get. I mean, you could potentially play Vooch at the 4 if you want to take a centre, because Vooch is a guy who you put the ball in his hands, he can get a shot. But I'm gonna have them taking Igor Demin. I know he's had a pretty bad second half of this season, but I do like him. I do think he slots in with the Bulls, and he's more of a project player as well, which is what I think they're going for. Because obviously they've moved Zach LaVine to go and play with DeMar on the Kings, but they've not initiated a full-blown rebuild yet. They still have Vooch, Lonzo's still on the table. You've got Josh Giddey and Kobe White, who have been great this season. I think you take a little bit of a slower player who's going to take a couple of years to come into his own, and that's a guy like Igor Demin who can get his own shot and defend hard. Now, 13, Atlanta. It depends what they do this season. Whether they decide to keep Trae Young, whether they decide to move him. I think Onyeka Okongwu has been great this season. Not seen much from Clint Capella. I don't know if he's been injured or not. I've not watched too much Hawks basketball this season. But Zachary Ricochet, towards the end of the season, really did start to come into his own a bit. So I think if you do move Trae, you're gonna need a great 1 or a 2. I think they need a 2 either way. The 2 is a little bit lacking. You've got Terrence Mann, you've got Karis LeVert, Kobe Bufkin. You have an array of 2s. Dyson Daniels as well. But you're gonna need a guy who can get his own bucket. And for me, I think Jace Richardson, if they keep Trae Young off the bench, he'd be great. Sort of coming into his own. Because I don't think Trae Young's going to be on this team much longer. And I think Jace Richardson would be a great sort of replacement for him. A guy who can get his own shot and who can defend hard. Now at number 14, exactly what San Antonio needs. A guy who can defend hard and sort of slot in. I like Noah Sengue. I think he fits perfectly at the 4. I think he solves their wing problem. He has wing depth, which is what this team needs. And he's French. You've got that Wembayama Sengue French connection there. I think they do go ahead and take him here. I know Derek Queen's still on the board at 14. But like I said, it's one of these drafts where they're going to take... It depends on who gets picked and who gets what pick. To where people are going to go. But I just don't think they take another centre. I think they take Noah Sengue. And that's our lottery draft done. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I've got a 2026 prospects video coming out in 2 days. As I said, I'm trying to ramp it back up again. I mean, I'm still a small channel, but we were killing it when I left last. I mean, 40, 50 subs, and we were dropping 300-400 views a video. So yeah, I'm trying to ramp it back up. I know these back-to-back sort of current year mock drafts, looking at next year's prospects, did really well last time. So I'm trying to replicate that success here. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.